What is up everyone? Welcome to an unboxing video which is probably going to hint towards something that is going to be coming to the channel very soon. I wasn't planning on making this a standalone unboxing video, but unfortunately I caught some kind of bug or virus over the weekend, got ill over the weekend. I lost my free Saturday and Sunday, which I had planned to make all of this really cool video thing. So today, with limited time, I'm going to chat to you guys about one of the new components that I've got, as opposed to all of the new components that I've got. And then we're going to do a little bit of a weird YouTube time travel thing in the next upload, or one of the next uploads. Probably not the next one, probably the one after that, which will be revolving around my home entertainment setup. But today we're just going to take a look at the Pioneer S-21W active or powered subwoofer. And apologies if I sound a bit rough in this video. It's been a rough weekend, which I'm actually gutted about, because I did a tweet, or I tweeted, and I basically said all of my hard work is over. I said like Thursday and Friday is my last 2 days of hard work, and then I am back to normality. And then as soon as Friday evening came along, I signed out of work, did my last little bit for the crazy couple of months that it's been, and then my throat started feeling weird and I got ill over the weekend, which I'm gutted about. But it's Monday today. I'm going to try and get back into a normal sort of routine, and let's take a look at this product that I have bought. And I'm not going to tell you what it's for. Well, it's obvious what it's for, but I'm not going to tell you any more about the project, because that is to come in the next couple of videos. So yeah, let's dive in and take a look at this. So as I said, this is the Pioneer S-21W powered subwoofer. Now this is a sort of low range, low end consumer audio subwoofer for home theatre systems. It costs under £100, which is not a lot of money for a subwoofer at all. Especially one of this size. I wasn't expecting it to be this big, but I need an active subwoofer for a reason which will probably be obvious to quite a few of you, especially if you've seen my living room entertainment setup series of videos. So I went ahead and bought this brand new. I've bit the bullet. I've never ever bought a brand new active subwoofer before. It's really not the sort of thing I do. I normally stumble across my speakers sort of locally, or I get sort of hand-me-downs from friends or something like that. You know, my speakers have got all sorts of different stories. It's rare that I go out and buy a brand new system. So yeah, the reason the box is open is because I opened it when it arrived last week, just to check everything was in order. So let's take a look at what we've got. Firstly, we've got an instruction booklet for the Pioneer S-21W, which is this, as well as the S11. Not 100% sure what that is. Oh, I see, it just says speaker system, so I guess that's maybe satellites to go with it or something, not 100% sure. And also in the package, we have a very thin, nasty looking subwoofer cable. Let's take a closer look at this, because man, that is nasty low quality. Oh boy, look at that. That is thin as can be. Check that out. Oh my word. So yeah, naturally I won't be using that. It's nice that it includes a cable, but that has got to be one of the worst cables I've seen for a while. So let's put the documentation and the cable to one side, because I'm never going to use either of them, obviously. Next up, we have a power cable. This uses a standard figure-of-8 power cable, which is nice, and they've given me a UK one, which seems to be more and more of a rarity these days. When you buy online, I don't know about you guys, but I often, at least 50, 60, maybe even 70% of the items that I buy online come with a European power plug these days. But I'm not sure why that is. But maybe it's just the places I'm buying from. So, let's get out this sub and take a look at it. Just as a warning, I'm no subwoofer expert, but I will be able to offer some kind of insight about this sub, because I know a little bit about speakers. I don't know a lot about home cinema speakers, but yeah. Oh wow, guys! Talk of the devil. Check it out. European power plug. I was literally just chatting about that. So the UK one was obviously shoved in there sort of last minute. So that's quite funny, really. Anyway, there's that, and then we have this little cover over the sub, and it is indeed taped here on the bottom. Let's take that off, slide that down, and here we have the lovely looking Pioneer subwoofer. Now I'm going to do a little bit of handheld to show you guys this in closer detail. So here is the sub itself, and as you guys can see, if I just sort of bring my hand into the frame, it is quite a big enclosure, definitely much bigger than my existing subwoofer. It is very, very difficult to find small subs, small active subs that are comparable to something that would come with a home theatre in a box kind of kit, like this Samsung one that I've been using, and yeah, it's up here, sort of in a kind of junk pile. Not that a Dreamcast is junk, so that is another little clue. Full of little clues, this video. So yeah, keep your ears peeled, folks, if you want to try and find out what's going on. I just got a lot of surprises on the way, and I am excited. But yeah, let's go back to the sub. Front, we have a massive port here, as you guys can see, to let out all of that juicy, bassy air, which is going to be quite impactful from this, judging by the size and the power. Don't know what the quality is going to be like, but I think this is going to let out a fair bit more bass than what I'm accustomed to using in my home, which is cool. Next up on the front, we have the Pioneer logo and what looks to be a power LED, which from reviews I've read, apparently it's really, really bright. So I may be sticking some kind of tape over that, because, you know, it's always nice to have these sorts of components as inconspicuous as possible. So moving around to the back, there's a couple of interesting things I'm going to mention about the back. Firstly, actually, let's just go through what it actually has first. So we have a level control here on a nice, decent quality feeling pot. We have our subwoofer input, which is just one of these RCA style jacks for these active subwoofers. So you'll have the same on any AV receiver, and then you can just link them with one of those RCA cables. So you can get proper subwoofer ones. I'll show you my one. Couple of clues. Whoops, didn't mean to show that. Didn't mean to show any of this, but I wanted to show this. So here's an example of a quality subwoofer cable. It's basically just a single RCA phono connector. Nice bit of cabling, and the same on the other end. Of course, plug it in, job done. So that's pretty nice. Next up, we have a switch, which is auto standby, which is a lovely feature. Now, of course, if your entertainment setup mains electricity stays powered on 24/7, mine doesn't. It gets switched off nightly, but not really throughout the day. So this is handy. If the sub doesn't receive any signal for X amount of time, or it receives very, very low signal, you know, just maybe a little bit of line noise or something, the sub will actually shut down, which is really nice, or it'll go into standby mode. So it's still receiving mains, obviously, but it'll go into standby, which is a really, really nice feature. And I'm glad it has that, because the power switch to turn it off is on the back, and in, you know, most setups, mine included, it would not be convenient to reach behind and switch it on and off. So, you know, you'd normally leave the power switch on. There, of course, is the power switch along with the figure of 8 power input, and that is it for the back. So as you guys can see, very, very, very basic in terms of input and control here, you know, just a level. There is absolutely no subwoofer settings whatsoever. This is quite a low-end unit. Now, one interesting thing that I want to share with you guys is about the amplifier that is in this unit. So combining a couple of little thought processes that I've had. First of all, the unit is extremely light. It is 6.5 kilos. Secondly, the amplifier states, or the specifications of the subwoofer on the internet state, that that it's 100 watts RMS or 160 watt peak. So we'll ignore the peak and we'll take the RMS. You know, we'll take it with a pinch of salt. It's Pioneer, a generally respected brand, so it's probably somewhere in the region of 100 watts, or, you know, maybe 80 watts or something like that. Next up, it's got hardly any cooling, just these couple of vents here. So one vent there and one vent there. That's barely anything. And last of all, it only consumes 25 watts from the wall. So this amplifier, I have no idea what class of amplifier it is, but it's certainly extremely efficient by the looks of all of these little signs. And because there's no heatsink or anything on the back, I assume that this sub won't get very hot, which is pretty cool, and it's nice and lightweight, so quite a nice designed unit. And if it sounds and operates nicely and reliably, then I'm a big fan of that. You know, it's not a massive obstructive lump at all, even though it's quite a size. And of course, the enclosure itself is fairly substantial, so the enclosure is a lot of the 6.5 kilograms. So yeah, that's the back of the unit. Let's take a little look at the bottom. I'm going to have to pause so that I can turn it over. So this is a front duct base reflex enclosure. So therefore the woofer points down at the floor. It's a down firing woofer, and then you have this this port here at the front that I pointed out earlier. So taking a little look at the bottom, this is a 6-inch, or just above 6 inches, 16 centimeters, so 6.2 inches roughly. Nice looking woofer here, folks. Not a lot to say about it, but it looks fairly substantial and quite a bit bigger than, again, quite a bit bigger than what I'm using at the moment, or what I have been using for the past little while. So that's there, firing down at the floor. Nice tall feet, which is always cool. They don't have that much rubber on them. In fact, I'm not even sure if that's rubber. It's not the grippiest thing in the world, but they do have little... I don't think it's threaded, but there are weird sort of holes in there, so I'm not sure if you can get optional like carpet spikes or something for these. But still, they are grippy enough. I can push it across the floor, but I don't think the base would move it. So yeah, as you guys can see, pretty substantial little speaker on this thing. So one of the biggest specifications to look at when buying a subwoofer is how low can you go, man? You know, that is the big question, especially for films, and especially for modern films, because I've noticed a lot. For those of you who don't know, I work as a cinema technician. I used to be a projectionist on 35mm, and then when digital came in, I'm now a digital cinema technician. And I've noticed over the years, and it has changed dramatically over the last 5 to 8 years, I've noticed how the bass is so damn heavy in modern film soundtracks, and it's not just effects that you'd expect heavy use of a subwoofer channel, a low frequency channel. It's throughout the film. A lot of the modern sort of, take the Marvel films for instance, throughout the entire film almost, they've got this low frequency rumble that just sits there pulsating away in the subwoofer. And a lot of modern films and a lot of newer remastered versions of old films where they've redone the soundtrack, they are very, very heavy on the low frequency channel, which I sometimes like and sometimes don't like. It also depends on the setup and the room and everything. Of course, you know, low frequencies are so difficult to control. But one of the biggest specs, as I said, is how low does it go? And this guy goes down to 33 hertz, which is not bad at all for a cheap, you know, this is relatively cheap, under £100 subwoofer from Pioneer. So 33 hertz, I assume that is at some awkward measurement. So, you know, maybe day to day it would go down to 36, 38 hertz, something like that under normal use circumstances. But another little point on that is I don't like crazy room shaking bass anyway. One of the big reasons that I don't like it is because I always worry that I'm disturbing other people, especially since I've had my own child, you know, when maybe before I didn't care about cranking things up super loud and annoying all the neighbours, but these days I kind of like keeping our general kind of vibe a little bit lower and not disturbing anyone, because it's amazing how far bass travels, and we do live in a terraced house, and although nobody has ever complained about our music or anything, touch wood, I still just like to show a little bit of respect. So there's that. And then there's, you know, the baby is always asleep when we're watching films, so we don't have crazy volume. And the bass is there more for sort of feeling an impact as opposed to being sort of like loud bass as you'd expect from, say, a club or something where the bass is in your face. It's more to just fill in the gaps. So yeah, back to the frequency response. I'm really talking now. 33 Hz up to 700 Hz. Of course, in my eyes, that's completely redundant. I have no care on the planet at all what a subwoofer goes up to. I'm not sure what the Dolby spec is these days for Dolby True HD or anything like that, but the crossover point is obviously going to be way under 700 Hz. For us in the pro cinema world, the crossover point is drastically low. The subwoofers only cover a very low end of the spectrum because the mains are such large speakers as well. You know, the subs are 18s and the mains are 15s and 12s, so you know they can handle quite a lot of low end themselves, which also helps with effects as well, because you'll get a bit of direction as soon as you get from that point where you're going up the frequency range and sound stops becoming omnidirectional and you can start to hear where the direction is coming from. You know, around that time it's nice to have a little bit of gut and balls coming from your main speakers. But in the home circumstance, the subwoofer will generally take over quite a bit more of the low frequency duties. I'm guessing maybe up to about 120 Hz at a push. That's only a guess. I have no clue what the Dolby spec is, as I said, and what most receivers cut at. But especially for me, I've got very puny, pibbly home cinema speakers at the moment, so it's nice for the sub to take most of the gut. So that pretty much concludes my unboxing, my little overview, and of course a bit of a ramble about the Pioneer S-21W. Now I'm really looking forward to giving this a go. Again, it's a lot bigger than what I have now, and it's definitely a different beast, but I hope that I can achieve some nice punchy quality low bass that is not muddy, you know, nice clean bass at a decently low volume, because often these sorts of speakers need to be cranked to a certain level to really start to growl. But I'm hoping that this will fit my setup. It's a bit of an experiment. As I said, I never really buy brand new speakers. It's a bit weird for me, but it's kind of a difficult process going to buy a used active subwoofer. I've been doing a lot of research over the last 2 or 3 weeks on this particular topic and this little project. And you know, I've been dropping clues throughout the whole video. If you've watched until now, it's pretty obvious that I'm having home AV receiver problems, home entertainment setup AV receiver issues, and that I'm taking a drastically different approach to my living room entertainment setup, which of course you guys will see in living room entertainment setup video part number 3, but you may see some more unboxings before then. I'm not 100% sure, and I've got a different project coming up first, I believe, so it's all pretty confusing. But this was sitting in the box, wanted to dig it out for you guys, wanted to chat about it. You guys know that I absolutely love talking about speakers whenever I can. I'm definitely no expert, but I like good sound, and I hope that this will give me good sound. If it was a mistake purchase, then I can send it back because it's brand new. I'll keep the box, keep all the packaging. It's no big deal, but I really hope that it's going to perform well. So this is the Pioneer S-21W. I'll leave a link to it in the video description down below, to the Pioneer website, so you guys can check out the specifications and manual and documentation and stuff for yourselves. And as always, folks, I will see you in the next video.